Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan Metal video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Strength Final Form Cooler and how he does in the Syn Shenron event. Now Strength Final Form Cooler is a pretty good unit. As most of you know, he was last year's worldwide celebration unit alongside the Tech Super Saiyan Carnival Goku. Now Strength Final Form Cooler is probably still one of the top extreme units in the game. He's still one of the best units in the game for me personally. He's a very strong unit. I think a lot of people, they don't maybe give him as much respect as he deserves, partly because extreme teams don't get buffs as regularly as super teams, but Cooler is very strong. So firstly, he leads probably the only viable extreme teams in the game, being Terrifying Conquerors or movie bosses, and he gives an extra 30% to those units that belong to Transformation Boost, which actually covers a pretty large spectrum of both of these categories. He greatly raises defense on his 12 key, whilst raising attack on his 18 key. And it's important that he greatly raises defense on his 12 key because eventually he does like 18 million supers a turn, so it's very important. Now, in his first 3 turns, he has a medium chance of launching an additional attack that has he launches a guaranteed additional attack that has a medium chance of coming a super attack for 3 turns. So that's okay, it's not like a big deal, but it is obviously important. Then he has, key plus 5, attack and defense of 100%. He then gets an additional key plus 1, and attack and defense of 10% up to 100% with each attack performed. This is pretty important because he essentially, the way the buffs work and the way the multiplicator burst buff works is he's basically getting 300% attack and defense from his 10th attack. He then launches 2 additional attacks, each of which has a medium chance of becoming a super attack. And then he launches a guaranteed super attack starting from the turn in which he's performed the 10th attack in battle. Okay, so it's very important to understand. Now, one thing I will say, in terms of build, you definitely just want to build Cooler into crit. It's 100% what you want to do. In terms of links, you want to prioritize Big Bad Bosses, Metamorphosis, Thirst for Conquest. Between these 3 links alone, you get like 50% attack and defense, which is pretty good, and 5% HP recovery. He doesn't need keys so much because he does have that like 10 key from his passive, which is pretty nutty when you think about it. Now the big thing with Cooler is he basically, because of how it works, he can launch, if you have even like 3 additional on him, he can in theory launch 5 super attacks a turn. And the thing is with him greatly raising defense, he can get some really high defense. We're talking like, this is a unit that can have like 380, 400k start of turn defense, and he can very easily get up to 700, 800k quite quickly, without a lot of effort put in after he supers. So that's very important. Attack stats, he can do some very big attack stats. We're talking some really solid numbers. 12 millions, 13 millions, 7 millions, 8 millions. Because of how his 18 key works and how stacking that attack and defense works. He's very good, and with his active skill, which can be activated after performing 8 or more attacks, he greatly raises his attack temporarily and disables an enemy's action, which is also very powerful. Now obviously the big question is, how does he do with AGL, Syn Shenron's AoE normals? Not very well. He actually defeats the first stage so quickly that you can't really build up so well against AGL Syn Shenron's AoE normals, and he can actually take quite a fair chunk of damage. I redid this stage a couple of times, and he took around 100k per AoE attack, which doesn't sound like a lot, but between 100 to 160 depending on how many dupes you had, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is quite a fair chunk. Especially when you got 2 of them on rotation and more strength units to facilitate him, it can be quite a lot. And it is in part due to the fact that he kind of decimates the first stage so quickly, but it is something you do have to be aware of. He is a strength type unit, and for the Syn Shenron event specifically, the AGL phase gives him some conundrums. Now, if you're able to build him up a little bit, maybe you miss some super attacks with the other units, maybe not get crits, luckily, I guess, then you kind of can have him built up to the point where he doesn't take damage from normals. Now, he will still probably get very low off of a super attack, regardless of how many super attacks he's done before, if he receives one from Syn Shenron in his AGL state, and that's okay. That is what type advantage does. It's what type disadvantage does to units. It's not rocket science to say that a strength unit's going to get absolutely railed by a AGL unit if they get supered by them, especially a stronger AGL unit. So it shouldn't be rocket science, although some people like to always think that that's a sign that a unit's bad. Doesn't really make sense to me, but you know, it is what it is. Damage wise, great. Like I said, you need crits. You want crits. You should go full crit build. You want the crits because at the end of the day, like, you see all these big attack stats, they don't mean a lot if you don't crit. Like you can see, we've done, I think, close to 30 million in attack stats at this point, and he hasn't really done that much damage, and that's because of type disadvantage, yes. That's also because, you know, he hasn't crit, so that is something to be aware of. And you can see there, he took a lot of damage, and that's with a Whis active, and that is a Rainbow Cooler. And yeah, it's undeniable that he will take damage. I think you can't really change that overall, and I think that's kind of like, you know, something you have to accept when you use a strength unit in an AGL style event. So he'll be fine for normals if he's built up a bit beforehand, but yeah, it is something you're going to have to be wary of. So obviously here, in this situation, you can see, you know, we're not going to use an item, and that's okay. We're also not going to get the support capabilities from Janemba, which is also fine. And we'll see how well he does in terms of, you know, defense. And you'll see that he does fine. Like I said, after super attacks, he's going to be more than fine. He's going to be a solid unit. He's going to be really good. It's just that, yeah, that first turn coming out of the in phase, he's, you know, just decimated the in phase. He hasn't built up, you know, a lot of his attack and defense. And so, yeah, he doesn't necessarily have his full range of defense to deal with the AoE normals. Like I said, if you can slow down that phase a little bit, then you're more than fine. You can see here, big attack stats, very big damage, you know, firing off, getting his attacks, and yeah, he's gonna crit, and yeah, big crit, follow up, another super, more than fine. Big damage from Cooler. The big damage is all really good. It makes life way easier. And you can see with crits, he can just kind of rip through whichever units gets put in his way. And I think that's, you know, something that's Cooler's big strength. That's his big bonus. That's what makes Cooler so great. That's what makes Cooler Cooler. And I think, you know, you have to accept that. Now here we're going to get his active skill, which is also going to be super solid. And you're going to see Cooler do a tremendous amount of damage in this turn. So here's the thing, the Cooler team, once you get to this stage, if you have an item like I do and you want to use that item, you'll guarantee yourself victory. Because the thing is at the end of the day, Cooler will take out half his bar, and then the other Cooler will finish him off, more than likely. It is just what it is. It's very difficult to say otherwise. Like, he just does huge damage, man. It's really crazy. Especially against a physical unit, like, he'll just rip through him, like, very easily. You can see here, we didn't even get that lucky with super attacks, and it's already like half his bar gone. Yeah, basically almost solo finished him. You get lucky, you get like 1 or 2 more supers, and you basically finished off Syn Shenron, which is fine, like I said. And here you're going to see him tank a super attack with no item either. 187k, not that bad. Type advantage, yes, I know, but still, Syn Shenron hits pretty hard, so there you go. Cooler can carry you. Like I say, you know, Cooler's great in that regard. I think it's something you have to accept. For the most part, I think, you know, a lot of people who use Cooler understand his offensive output is insane. And that's why you like to kind of build around him with units like AGL Golden Freezer with these strong, defensive units. Now, Cooler, honestly speaking, is great. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, he does an exceptional job. If I'd used an item, I would have got the win here, but I think we saw enough of Cooler. I didn't really want to use the item, there's no real point. But yeah, Cooler's great. He'll struggle at the beginning of the AGL phase purely because he rips through the int Syn Shenron too quickly. Like, ultimately at the end of the day, that's honestly what he does. He just rips through the Shenron too quickly. That's it from me. See you next time. Bye.